a message arrived on what criminals believed was the most secure phone app in the world. I am the commander of the world. No one is to touch another member without my permission. What they didn't know was that every word was being read by the FBI. This is the true story of how a motorcycle gang born in the suburbs of Sydney grew into a global criminal empire worth billions. It's a tale of two childhood friends who turned Turkey into their personal playground, and how one man's obsession with Facebook helped law enforcement dismantle one of the world's most dangerous organized crime networks, the birth of a monster. It all began in 1968 in Sydney, Australia. A Scottish immigrant named William George "Jock" Ross, inspired by a John Wayne film, founded a motorcycle club. He named it after the film's fictional bandits, the Comancheros. Ross, a former soldier, ran the gang with military discipline. Members called him the Supreme Commander, and weekly military-style drills were held in his backyard. He even formed an elite unit within the club called the Strike Force. Under Ross's leadership and the motto of respect, brotherhood, loyalty, the Comancheros gained a reputation as Australia's most violent outlaw motorcycle gang. They weren't just riding bikes. They were building a criminal network, the Father's Day Massacre. On September 2nd, 1984, Ross led his men to the Viking Tavern in Milpera, Sydney. A gun battle erupted between the Comancheros and their rivals, the Bandidos. 7 people were killed, 4 Comancheros, 2 Bandidos, and, tragically, a 14-year-old girl named Leanne Walters. Ross was sentenced to life in prison but served only 5 years. Still, his creation had spiraled beyond his control. The gang had tasted blood and wanted more. The Lebanese takeover. In 2000, Mahmoud Mick Howie, a 22-year-old Lebanese Australian, took control of the Comancheros. Under his leadership, the gang evolved, recruiting members from Middle Eastern and Pacific Islander backgrounds. The violence escalated, culminating in a brutal public brawl at Sydney Airport in 2009, where Anthony Zervas, the brother of a Hells Angel, was beaten to death in front of travelers. Howie was convicted of murder, though it was later overturned. In 2018, he was gunned down in his car outside a gym in Sydney. He died at 37, a victim of the violent world he helped shape. The rise of Mark Badra Buttle. After Howie's death, Mark Buttle became the new leader. Tech-savvy and globally focused, Buttle transformed the Comancheros into an international syndicate. Facing police pressure in Australia, he fled to Dubai and then to northern Cyprus. But his escape would trigger a chain of events that led to the gang's collapse, the Facebook gangster. While Buttle was in hiding, another figure rose to prominence, Hakan Ayik. Born in Sydney to Turkish parents, Ayik was known for his extravagant lifestyle and obsession with social media. Unlike most criminals, he flaunted his wealth, luxury cars, expensive watches, and exotic travel, earning him the nickname the Facebook Gangster. By 2010, Ayik was coordinating massive drug shipments. But after a close call with law enforcement, he fled to Turkey, buying a luxury hotel in Istanbul and continuing his operations under the alias Hakan Rice, the Trojan horse Operation Ironside. In 2018, the FBI launched a bold plan. They created a fake encrypted messaging app called Anam and convinced criminals it was secure. To make it believable, they needed someone high-profile to promote it. That person was Ayik. He trusted the app and began recommending it to others in the underworld. Soon, over 12,000 Anam devices were in use across 100 countries. Criminals unknowingly gave law enforcement access to every message they sent. For 3 years, agencies watched as crimes were committed in real time, from drug deals to murder plots. Then, in June 2021, global law enforcement launched Operation Ironside, arresting over 800 suspects in one of the largest operations in history. But Ayik was still free. The Istanbul raids. On November 1st, 2023, Turkish special forces launched raids across Istanbul. Ayik was captured shirtless and surrounded by armed officers. Alongside him, 37 Comanchero members were arrested, including Duaks Hohepa Ngakuru, Ayik's old school friend and now the global president of the Comancheros. Authorities uncovered a massive money laundering operation. Businesses like Apex World Tourism were used to clean drug money. Millions of dollars flowed through Turkish banks. Luxury properties, cars, and fake businesses shielded criminal profits. Even corrupt officials were implicated, a global criminal network. The investigation revealed a sophisticated global network. The Comancheros weren't just an Australian gang, they were controlling drug routes from South America to Australia and Europe. Cocaine, meth, and MDMA moved through these channels. The gang partnered with Chinese triads and European mafias. The profits were astronomical, billions of dollars annually. Istanbul had become the command center for a global criminal empire. The Reckoning. On February 18, 2025, Turkish prosecutors indicted 66 suspects. Hakan Ayik faced a possible sentence of 262 years. Charges included leading a criminal organization, international drug trafficking, and money laundering. Senior members face 30 to 70 years each. What began as a suburban motorcycle club in 1968 had grown into a transnational empire of violence and corruption. The very tools the Comancheros used to hide, encryption, technology, social networks, became their downfall. And at the center of it all was a message sent over a phone criminals thought was untouchable, being read word for word by the FBI. Their own confidence exposed them, their own networks betrayed them, and their own members, through vanity and arrogance, helped bring down one of the most dangerous crime syndicates the world has ever seen. The remaining 52 defendants were charged with membership in a criminal organization and money laundering, each facing potential sentences ranging from 8 to 18 years. The indictment portrayed a group that had evolved far beyond its roots as an Australian motorcycle club. Under the leadership of figures such as Mark Buttle, Han Ayik, and Du Nakuru, the Comancheros had become what prosecutors described as one of the most dangerous international crime syndicates in the world. The evidence was overwhelming. Encrypted communications intercepted during Operation AANOM included thousands of messages detailing drug trafficking, murder plots, and money laundering operations. Financial records showed the enormous movement of illicit funds through Turkish businesses and real estate investments. Perhaps most importantly, the indictment highlighted the international cooperation behind the investigation. Turkish authorities worked closely with law enforcement agencies from Australia, the United States, New Zealand, and across Europe. This wasn't just about arresting members of a motorcycle gang, it was about dismantling a global criminal network that had corrupted officials, devastated communities with narcotics, and generated billions in illegal profits. Chapter 9. The Domino Effect. As news of the indictment spread, its ripple effects were felt worldwide. In Australia, authorities hailed it as one of the country's most significant blows against organized crime. The Australian Federal Police revealed that the Turkish operation was part of a broader global effort. In the 2023 to 2024 financial year alone, Australian forces seized 31.3 tons of drugs domestically and helped international partners confiscate another 41.8 tons. However, the victory came at a cost. The investigation exposed the true extent of the Comancheros' influence in Australia. Police estimated that the organization had imported more than $1.5 billion worth of drugs annually into the country. In New Zealand, authorities pursued related cases against local members. Duak Unawuru faced extradition for charges including drug conspiracy, money laundering, and organized crime involvement. The New Zealand investigation led to the seizure of over $3.7 million in assets and more than 1,200 charges laid against 40 individuals. European connections added to the concern. Seizures in countries like Italy, Spain, and Malta revealed that the Comancheros had forged alliances with local criminal groups across the continent. The globalization of organized crime had reached an unprecedented scale. Chapter 10, Turkey's Crackdown. The Comancheros investigation was just one part of Turkey's broader crackdown on international organized crime. Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya announced that over a 10-month period, Turkish authorities dismantled 436 organized crime groups, 117 of them linked to drug offenses. The financial toll was massive. Turkish authorities seized assets worth $2.8 billion, including luxury apartments in Istanbul's high-rises, gated villas, luxury watches, jewelry, and a fleet of high-end vehicles. But the Comancheros were a unique case, an international crime syndicate that had deliberately chosen Turkey as a base of operations. The investigation uncovered that multiple foreign crime bosses had acquired Turkish citizenship by purchasing expensive real estate under investment programs meant to attract legitimate foreign investors. The case also exposed deep corruption within Turkish institutions. A former police officer charged with aiding the Comancheros was just one example of how far the group's influence had reached. For the Turkish government, the Comancheros case became a symbol of its commitment to combat international organized crime. The dramatic raids, large-scale seizures, and unprecedented international cooperation showcased Turkey's emerging role as a leader in global law enforcement. As the case unfolded, the irony became undeniable. Hakan Ayik, the man who once aimed to help criminals stay ahead of police, had unknowingly given authorities the most powerful tool ever used against organized crime, the ANM operation, made possible by Ayik's unintentional cooperation, didn't just dismantle the Comancheros. It exposed global criminal networks, from South American cartels to European mafias to Asian triads. Over 800 arrests were made, millions in assets were seized, and countless lives were saved from drugs that would have reached the streets. Mark Buttle, who once styled himself as the commander of the world, now sits in an Australian prison facing life behind bars. His empire, built over decades of violence and corruption, crumbled in just a few months. Dunakuru, the childhood friend who rose alongside Ayik, now faces extradition and a lifetime in prison. The boy from Rotorua, who became a global crime boss, learned that neither wealth nor power could protect him forever. Hakan Ayik, the flashy Facebook gangster who flaunted his riches online, may also spend the rest of his life behind bars. The man who helped authorities read the encrypted messages of thousands of criminals will likely never walk free again. The Comanchero Motorcycle Club, which began with Jock Ross's vision of brotherhood and loyalty in 1968, had turned into something Ross could never have imagined. What started as a motorcycle brotherhood evolved into a billion-dollar criminal empire that corrupted officials, poisoned communities, and destroyed lives. But in the end, the same technology and global reach that made them powerful also made them vulnerable. In chasing global dominance, they forgot the oldest rule of criminal survival: trust no one. The investigation that brought down 66 Comancheros in Turkey was more than a law enforcement success. It was a reminder that even the most powerful criminal networks have weaknesses, that international cooperation can defeat international crime, and that often the criminal's own ambition is what brings them down. As prosecutors prepare for what could be the largest organized crime trial in Turkey's history, one question remains: how many more criminal networks are operating in the shadows, believing they're untouchable? The answer will shape the future fight against organized crime in the digital era. For now, the motorcycles are silent, the luxury hotels are under investigation, and 66 individuals who thought they were above the law are learning a hard truth: no one is untouchable. The Comancheros' reign has ended, but the war against global organized crime continues.